Are we live? I'm going to test the audio real quick. This is the, the classic setup here. So we're going to be playing some video game. Just some game. Not games. We don't play games here. We play game. And okay. Audio's sounding okay. Alright. Now, I'm going to put on some jams for my own private listening. And then we're ready. Alright, and I also thought maybe we could review some stuff. Yeah, it'll be up there when I'm ready for it. But yes, I'm just going to work today because I'm a Stormtrooper and this is my job. Trooping storms. Well, I guess while we're waiting, it would be best to start the video. Actually, no. We'll just jump into this. So, yeah. What's been going on with me lately is I had a debate 2 days ago. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Wednesday? Monday night debated Studio 215 on multicellular evolution. And he was not prepared. So, if anyone's in the dark, this started off with me debating Ken Hovind, bringing up multicellular evolution as an example of new information evolving in real time, observable. And, this was only the 14 millionth time that I brought it up to him. So, of course, he still hadn't researched it at all. And then not even 2 days later, he had on this guy, Studio 215, to talk about it. And we had a debate. And basically, the debate can be summed up like this. What's the difference between your multicellular stuff and the unicellular colonies? Give him 3 examples of the differences that are cited in the papers. And then he just repeats the same thing over and over. Yeah. So what's the difference? Here's 3 differences. Okay, so what's the difference? That was the whole debate. He was not prepared, even though he challenged me to this debate on Ken's channel, using the paper that he was not prepared for. It doesn't seem like he read past the abstract on any of these papers, because that's the only thing he ever cites. So, yeah, creationism as usual. Let me, should pull up the live chat just to, make sure, see if anyone's watching. I could put it on my phone, but nah. Live chats.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I think of marriage is a certain thing.
No, stop.
Which is the...
Shush. I'm not going to you yet. My channel. Lives. Alright, now I have the chat up in case we need that. So yeah, whoever said Stormtroopers can't see out of these helmets, look at this. Watch, I'm doing fine. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's been going on with me. I have not had a lot of time lately, but that was a fun debate. Basically, like in his response, he he didn't know the difference between the regular reproductive cycles of the algae and the one detailed in the experiment. And his whole argument is they're the exact same thing. And evolutionists are just lying and saying that it's a new multicellular life stage, because he didn't read the differences that are explicitly detailed in the paper. So I kind of baited him in the opening. I left out those specific differences so that he would repeat them again in the debate. Apparently I didn't have to, because he kept repeating them anyway, even after being corrected. But yeah. So then I basically made him say the exact same thing in his video in the debate, which is they're the exact same thing. There's no difference between this experiment and normal reproductive stages. Then I quoted exactly from the paper, which says the difference between this and the normal reproductive stages are as follows. And he just could not deal with it. Oh shit, Yoda. Fuck. Oh, he's after me. Fuck you, Yoda. The life of a stormtrooper. Anyway. I was going to see if the live chat pops up in the small window. Nope. I was going to start responding to this video. There we go. You got a teaser of it already.
I think of marriage is a certain thing, which is the context for procreation, for the building of the nuclear family.
What about people that get...
The context for building the nuclear family, that's word salad. You know, marriage is a good tool for building a family. Context? He's just trying to sound smarter than he is. And this is Matt Walsh, so I actually had him, I had a 3-hour video, basically talking about gender and, what is a woman, where he won the debate, about what is a woman, or even like, what, can you even ask that? Because his opponents were saying you can't define what a woman is unless you're a woman, which is absolute nonsense. And when you hand people that kind of slam dunk, yeah, they're going to win the debate unless they're completely incompetent. So, I really personally hate Matt Walsh, but he won that debate. So this is me crapping on Matt Walsh, just to, you know, give the other side of the argument, because this guy is not an intelligent man. He might be intelligent, you know, whatever, but he's destroyed his ability to critically think because of his theism and his conservatism, ideological cult, basically. Let's see Joe's response.
married that don't have kids. Are you opposed to that? What if they get married, they decide, you know what, we don't...
Yep. So so the whole the context of this is Matt doesn't like gay marriage. He just thinks it's nasty and icky. He can't give an actual reason. So he's trying to define marriage in a way that excludes gay marriage, and he cannot do it. He starts off saying, it's the context for having children. Joe says, nope, people who don't want children get married. And there's a purpose for that.
You don't need kids. I'm going to get fixed. You get your tubes tied. Let's travel the world.
Well, what do you mean am I opposed to it? I mean, I think that that every married couple should be open to life.
But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it. Of course, there's more to marriage just than that.
And what about people that are infertile?
Yeah, so what is it? He's just gonna say, oh yeah, there is more to it than that. I didn't think of that because I'm ideologically possessed. It's you should be open to life.
They fall in love and they realize that they can have babies. And they don't really necessarily want to adopt. Is that okay for them to be married? Because then you're, by definition, marriage falls into a completely different thing. Because then it's a bond.
And it's not even that he just thinks marriage is different. He wants to make it illegal for gay people to get married. He doesn't think it even is marriage.
Of love. It's a union of love.
Sure. I mean,
it's really that simple. It's a union of love, but he can't allow that, or else it would allow, ew, icky gay sex. Ew, oh.
That doesn't change the nature of marriage, though. It's a little bit like I say that. What's the definition of a woman? Well, a woman is someone who, by her nature, can.
So to be fair, marriage used to be basically a breeding contract or a political contract. That was the point of it. It's a union of two people. So the purpose of making a union has changed from uniting, like, not royal houses, any house, uniting families, sometimes politically, sometimes for wealth, and for family reasons, to, okay, well, now people build families based on mutual love for the two parents. So marriage is now a union of love, not just procreation. That is our culture. There's no arguing with that. You can get marriage just to procreate. That's kind of what a shotgun wedding is. In reverse. You can certainly do that. A marriage is just a union, but in our culture, it's predominantly done for love. And there's no reason to make that illegal, and thus you can't distinguish two straight people getting married from two gay people getting married. Because procreation is not a requirement for marriage.
Conceive children in her womb and bear children. And then the response is always, well, what about women who are infertile? Does that destroy your definition of woman? And
it does. And it destroys your definition of marriage.
It doesn't, because,
See, that's the thing. He won the debate on what is a woman only because the other side refused to even define woman. His definition sucks. It's not tenable. So even though he won the debate, he's still wrong. So, that's the art of debate. That's what I'm doing with the Debate Cafe channel. Is it's not enough to be right, and it's not enough to be wrong. You can still win or lose a debate.
It's still a woman's nature to bear children. Not every woman will, and there will be disease and infertility and old age and all these things that will preclude that. But it's still of her nature to do so.
What does that mean? It's of her nature. No, it's not. If she physically can't do it, it's not in her nature. See, when theists and, usually conservatives, anyone, when they say it's of something's nature to do something, what they're saying is, this is what I want them to do.
And I would say the same thing for marriage. It is natural in a marriage for procreation to occur. It's not always going to happen in reality, though.
Yeah, because people fuck. And guess what fucking does? People who like to be near one another a lot, will get married and they'll also fuck each other and then get pregnant.
Oh, but that's still one of the natural functions of marriage. And married couple.
It's not a function of marriage. Getting pregnant is not a function of marriage. A function would be legal status, or ritualistic, traditionalist, an emotional function. People like it.
Couples who can't conceive children. There are other ways to be parents, like adoption, for example.
If they want to. Right, sure. But if people want to be married and don't want to ever have children, are you opposed to them being married?
Well, I wouldn't advocate a law that would prevent it.
But would it change the definition of what their marriage is to you because they don't want to have a family?
But he would advocate laws to prevent gay marriage. I would guarantee that. If not, then what the fuck are you even complaining about? Don't get gay married.
They just want to have a loving bond?
I think this would be a couple that is rejecting one of the fundamental aspects of marriage, and that they should be open to life. I would hope that in the future they would be, but
why
isn't
should
that
they?
just a personal choice? I mean,
Joe is just asking the obvious questions that are just totally stumping Matt. It's a personal choice. Why should everyone have to do the same thing? This is like a fundamental symptom of the disease of ideological possession, where you think everyone needs to be the same, everyone needs to make the same decisions.
And you can have a very fulfilling life if you just follow your
because from his frame of reference, you breed so that you can get more people into the cult really easily, because children won't push back as much as adults. So pretty sure if you asked him, should Muslims breed, in his heart of hearts, he would think, no, guys, don't do it. Don't breed. Only Christians get to breed.
Pursuits and your dreams and your interests, and you find someone that shares those interests with you and you share time together. It's very fulfilling and loving.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, in that I'm not advocating for like a law that says that you if you're married you have to have X number of kids.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve? And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is.
He just... God. It's a union of two people who love each other. And the government has a definition for it, which is tax breaks and other legal privileges. Like, you don't have to testify against your spouse in court. There's a definition for it, you fucking liar.
So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side that came along.
Not really, because people got married and couldn't have kids. Whoopsie.
And said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly? Oh, and I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then, why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. You get into what if
they don't. Oh my God, they don't have to love each other, but otherwise that's just roommates, and you don't need like a legal binding for roommates. You that would just, at best, that would be like a property contract. But it's not, you don't have to. It's just, that's the word we use for that phenomenon. People love each other. They want to pair off. And why 2? Because 2 is the most stable number. It's hard enough to get along with one person, to have a successful marriage with one person. So it's just infinitely more difficult to add another person in, which is actually 2 more relationships, not just one, because there's 2 people already in the relationship. There's no real reason why not to add more people. Legally, it could be taken advantage of. If you can make polyamory work, whatever. If you want to have polygamous marriage like in your head, I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se. It can be extremely manipulative. Usually comes from very bad motives. And usually is religious. So that's what's funny, is because the biggest examples of marriage not being about two people having babies is, let's see, Abrahamic religions.
They're in the same family. What if brothers and sisters want to marry? And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is a slippery slope, because guess what? It's a health hazard to society. And is just, it's not healthy. It's mentally not healthy. See, the reason, okay, so think about this. Let's say a brother and sister or a child and parent want to have a sexual relationship, but they're both sterile. So the usual argument against incest is that it's going to create incest babies. Okay, well, that's not good enough, because it's still creepy for a parent to have sex with their child, even if there's going to be no children produced. Why is that? Because it's a fundamental breaking of the relationship a parent and a child should have. That authority of a parent no longer exists if they become someone who's like... That's why there's this distinction between being a good parent and being a good friend. Sometimes you're not always the best friend to your child in the basic sense. A good friend does set boundaries, but yeah, I think we know what I'm saying. Anyway, the parent shouldn't be having a sexual relationship with their child, because the parent relationship inherently is not a sexual relationship, because that will degrade their authority. Because then the child is... we don't have to get too much into this. But imagine horny teenagers asking their mom... You know where I'm going with this. It's just, it degrades the actual relationship you should have. So there are reasons. If you can't break up with your mom. You can't go your separate ways. You can with normal people you're not related to.
Slope argument, that's fallacious, but it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to, what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And I've never found a compelling definition.
No, you just ignore them because you're in full cope.
And any definition offered, it's like, well, what's even the point then? Why do we even need this now?
I just don't see.
Because people pair off because they like having partners.
How a gay marriage in any way damages a straight marriage. I don't see it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems to me that people want to be... Look, if you wanted to look at logic, especially in our modern society, which is pretty fucked when it...
Don't try logic on theists or Republicans. Just don't.
It comes to relationships.
Don't try it on leftists and Democrats and socialists either. Don't get me wrong about that.
It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% of all marriages end in divorce anyway. They don't make it. I don't know if anything would damage marriage and damage the institution of marriage is the option of divorce. I don't think gay people getting married in any way, shape, or form changes a bond that you have with your wife. It's just called marriage. It's a human invented thing. If we decide that gay people can get married too,
No, Matt thinks it's a God-invented, objective, true thing that is not plastic whatsoever.
Just don't see how it damages anything. I don't think it tears down the definition of marriage in any way. It just opens up the possibility that people who are gay won't be discriminated against.
Well, see, Joe, here's where you're wrong, is because he thinks marriage is between a man and a woman. So if it includes gay marriage, then it's no longer a union between men and women. It's a union between two people. So, yeah. But yeah, Joe, it doesn't hurt his marriage. It doesn't hurt Matt's marriage to his wife that other people can get married. It does hurt Matt's narrow, idiotic definition of marriage. Yeah, of course. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think that a gay couple existing directly impacts, there's a gay couple and wherever, and I'm with my wife in our house. Like, obviously
right.
There's not, but I'm talking
the gay couple's not going to be at their house.
I'm not talking about on the individual level. I'm talking about on the societal level.
Right.
I would agree that divorce, especially this no-fault divorce, rampant divorce, I don't think it's as high as 50%. I know that's often quoted. I'm not sure where that comes from, but it is high. It's too high. And
Chris Rock has a great joke about that. He said those are just the people with the courage to get out. It's like, how many cowards stay?
But it's also true that the advocates for what we call now traditional marriage, which I just call marriage, but the advocates for traditional marriage put themselves at a disadvantage by especially in the churches, like allowing this rampant divorce to occur. And then you've already sort of given up on some marriage is supposed to be monogamous and permanent, as well as procreative. Well, you've given up monogamy and permanent.
It's not supposed to be, which is why you can't have marriage declared null, because you didn't have a child. You can if it's monogamous, non-monogamous outside of your permission, but that's different. The marriage isn't nullified just because you are non-monogamous. You can have a swingers marriage, and if the court finds out, you're still married. It's not illegal. It's just if the other person doesn't want to be in it anymore because you cheated, well, that's their choice.
And so now it's not, that's two of the three legs gone. And so now this assault was waged on the procreative part of it, and it was difficult to withstand.
An assault. No, it's not an assault. It's that people don't want to be traded as fucking property of their father, and they want to be united with people they actually like. And so guess what that means is sometimes people are going to have different opinions on when or if they're going to have children. Huh. Interesting.
And it, because the institution had already been weakened. So I agree with you there. But my answer to that is to try to reinforce what marriage is, not to just give up on it entirely. And I still think you're left with this question of, if marriage is not what I'm saying it is, then why do we even need it? What's the point? I mean, you're saying it's a man-made institution.
Yes.
But you're also, the way that you're presenting it, it's a totally meaningless institution. So
No.
they don't need it at all.
No, it's not meaningless. It's because it means something to the people that get married.
So it's just a subjective, symbolic thing. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Yes, you idiot. You fucking idiot. There is no such thing as an objective marriage. There is no objective fact of marriage. The material has not changed. It's checking a box on a piece of paper. Yes, there are objective facts like, oh, I live with this person. There's no objective marriage status. You can do all the same stuff without marriage, which is what people do. Straight people are not going to stop getting married just because of gay people. They're still going to want to have sex with each other. They're still going to want to pair off, and they're still going to want to have children with each other. No matter how many gay people there are. Unless the gay people start committing straight genocide, which is not the most unrealistic thing if you live on TikTok. Lefty TikTok, but in general, unrealistic.
Yeah.
So if you're
kind of what it is, look, there's a massive responsibility when you're married and when you have children to keep your family together and you raise and keep everybody happy and healthy, and there's great reward to that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work out. It's people change. People are fucked up. It doesn't always work. And so I don't think it should be outlawed because 50% of the people fall apart. Just like I don't think it has any effect whatsoever on a straight couple if a gay couple decides that they want to make it official. And that's what it is to them. It gives them a feeling that they're accepted and appreciated and that they're not discriminated against.
Well, that's the transition to legality for gay people. That's why they want it too. They don't want to feel excluded because there is this tradition where people have these celebrations of the union of two people, and gay people. Okay, so why would gay people be jealous of marriages if it was just about procreation? Do you think maybe there's more to it? Maybe there's some sort of like love aspect of marriage? Maybe that's the common denominator between modern marriages? Huh.
Because they happen to be homosexual.
So, well, what you're articulating to me is the damage that's done by gay marriage to the institution of marriage.
But how is it done? How is that in any way damaged straight people?
Because we are making the institution meaningless.
But it's not meaningless.
Well, but
it's very meaningful to the people that.
So you think you think love union is meaningless, is what he just said. Straight
but
up.
Have it.
Subjective, symbolic, and it's about your own personal feelings.
Isn't it though?
Well, no, I would say that it's not.
Well, if it's not subjective and it's not symbolic,
it codifies and protects and gives a name to a thing that actually exists, which are man, woman couples creating people, creating babies.
But not all.
You can do that without marriage. You know that, right?
Always.
Right, but that's still the nature of the union. So,
but what are the percentage of people today?
So again, I'm going to repeat myself. Why would they want this if that's the point of marriage? Why would gay people be jealous if that was the function of marriage? It's because there's more to it than that. You dumbass.
Day that are married that don't have children. I bet it's pretty high amongst heterosexuals.
Probably.
Is there something wrong with that?
I think there is something wrong with that. I think there is something wrong with getting married and saying, oh, we're not gonna have any kids at all.
But why is there something wrong with that if someone's personal choice?
Well,
why is it wrong that two people are like, I am deeply committed to work and I don't want to sacrifice any of my career and I don't want to ruin a kid because I'm constantly at the office, but that's where I get deep satisfaction and that's what I'm focused on.
Because he believes that everyone needs to be a Christian and they need to procreate to rapidly expand the number of Christians.
The woman says, that's great because I don't want children either. I really am.
And here's the secret. Because they can't convert anyone. They have to raise them. They have to indoctrinate and install the hardware of the cult into children. That's why children are so important to Christians. Maybe not consciously, and definitely not all of them, but that's why it's so important in their theology, in their holy book.
Yeah. Attached to my interests and my career and what I like to do. That's not damaging your relationship with your wife and your family. I certainly don't think of it as a threat.
It is, because then other people might not do it. Is the only possible direction he could go. Which is definitely not true. People aren't going to stop pairing off. People don't pair off and create families because of constructions of marriage. Definitely not Christian marriage. We've been doing it a lot longer and in a lot different places than Christian majority. Marriage was created after this trend existed in human history, and apart from anywhere that Christianity ever touched, and long before Christianity. So this phenomenon occurs without Christianity and with it. And it's not going to stop no matter what. Yeah, we might call it something different. Yeah, we might expand the definition a little bit. Because of the common denominator. Because ancient people were fucking stupid. Modern people are stupid too, but we stand on the shoulders of many generations of smart people. So we have a lot of the work just is already done for us. So we can have more knowledge while being stupid. Just as stupid as the ancient people. Anyway. Yeah. Straight people are still going to create unions and babies. No matter what.
To my marriage or my family.
Yeah, it is a personal choice.
Right, but shouldn't people be allowed to make those personal choices? Like, isn't that a fundamental aspect of what it means to be American, to have that freedom?
Well, right, yeah, but right now we're not talking about what people are allowed to do. I'm not saying that.
Well, we're talking about marriage, gay marriage.
Okay, we were just discussing straight couples who choose not to have kids.
That's also a personal freedom issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that straight couples should be legally required to have kids, but if you're asking me, do I think it's the right choice to just get married and choose not to have kids ever? I do not think that that's the right choice. It's their choice, but people can make choices that are wrong. And you can disagree.
How is it wrong if they have a fulfilling and wonderful life together with that choice? If they're
because Matt's an ideological zealot, and if you don't agree with him and don't do exactly as he likes, then it's wrong. He belongs to a religion where if you don't agree with him on who the God is, you deserve infinite torture. This is the kind of mindset.
Their thing is that
you're dealing with. Joe, realize it.
Just want to have a bond between the two of them to just like take it to the next level, let everybody know like we are married. If I die, my money's going to go to Helen. And if Helen dies,
we are united. You could say we're united. But there are other ways of being united other than like a sexual / domestic way. So there's a specific type of union. And when you strip down all of the common denominators between the straight marriages, what you get is something that actually includes non-straight marriages.
I'm going to mourn her because she was my wife and now I'll be a widower. Like, to some people, that distinction gives them peace and security and makes them feel better about the relationship, that they're both so committed.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
that they've legally signed documents that say that they're bound by law and under the eyes of God or whatever you believe in.
Yeah. They're able to make that choice, but I think you're still rejecting one of the purposes of marriage.
Just repeating himself.
And in the scenario that you just outlined, you're also deciding to live a really self-centered life. You're saying,
but what if you're not? What if your work is very charitable? What if it benefits humanity?
Bro, your entire religion is self-centered. Get me into heaven so that the God who's completely self-centered can just get worship and receive credit for everything all day, all seconds in 12 different dimensions. Oh. It's ridiculous. This is relevant to what I was saying in the opening. It's just like my debate 2 days ago. What is the actual difference between marriage and gay marriage? Oh, here's 3 reasons why you're wrong. Okay, well, I'm just going to repeat my original answer. He has nothing. He's just stumbling. He's contributing absolutely nothing of substance. He's not even contributing something that's dumb. He's contributing nothing.
In a deep way. Well, if you spend a lot of time doing, healthcare work and, social work, and you're deeply committed to your community, it's not selfish at all. You're just dedicating your time to something other than raising new human beings.
But that's fucking wrecked. You could be helping other adults or other children. Jesus Christ, the lack of creative thought, creative thinking, critical thinking that goes into Matt's brain is just stunning. The fact that he landed on the argument of what is a woman is astounding. Even though it's freaking obvious. To just say, okay, well, words have meanings, so you weirdos who think you can change the meaning of a word based on whether you call yourself that word, yeah, no, that doesn't work. That should be obvious. Yeah, so even someone of Matt's extremely low caliber intellect can figure that out.
You're dedicating your life to enhancing other human beings that are around you.
That's a hypothetical.
It is a hypothetical, but so is yours, right?
Yeah, but I think most of the people that choose we're not going to have kids, and the rate of those rates are declining, and the age when people first have kids is also going up, and all of that.
Yeah.
And most of the people that are making these choices, I don't think it's because they're involved in charity work. I do think that it is more the scenario you outlined.
So the fuck what if it's selfish? Guess what? Any comforts you ever have are selfish. I bet Matt has a big house. I bet he's even got a hot tub or a pool. I bet he goes on vacations. That's selfish. So what? Selfish isn't wrong. Not necessarily. If you raise your children selfishly, that's wrong. Because it's about someone else. If you want to be selfish and you don't want kids, actually that is the better choice.
And the first time around, which is just well, this is what I'm doing. I have my job. I don't want to give it up.
Yeah. But don't you think that people should have the freedom to live their life in that way? I think human beings vary widely, in a huge way. And I think there's some human beings that find a very fulfilling life just reading books and traveling and experiencing different things and seeing art.
But it doesn't glorify God. And it's all about God. It's all about God's selfishness. So if you aren't glorifying God, then you're being selfish.
Doing whatever the fuck they want to do, and they don't necessarily have to have kids. to live a fulfilling life that way. And if they choose to do that with someone who they have a loving bond with and who they get married to, I don't think it's a bad thing that they don't want to have kids.
Well, I guess we have to, maybe we're running into a question of,
a question of you've got nothing to say to any of these counter arguments. Just, I just think that it erodes the definition of marriage. Even though you've given me 1,000 examples of how I accept marriages that don't necessarily do the procreation thing. He just can't come up with any consistent criteria, and so he has to keep repeating himself and just moving the goalposts.
Now you get to the real fundamental
I
question.
think it's a fundamental freedom thing.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing, I guess, on the freedom aspect of it, because, again, I'm not saying that you should be required to have kids.
But you're imposing your sensibilities and what you think is important in life to other people. But everybody has a different idea of what's important in life without hurting anyone. The thing is, like, what I'm saying is these people that are married, that don't have children, they're not harming anyone. They're not harming these unborn children that they never have. They're not harming anyone. And it doesn't affect your relationship with your family and your marriage at all.
Yeah, but I'm not imposing myself on them or harming them by answering a question about how I feel about their choices.
Right, but nor are gay people doing that to you.
It's a fine line. You are harming them by actively trying to introduce or legislate them out, introduce legislation that takes them out of marriage. Merely expressing your opinion, no, it's not harm directly. But when you elect people who will act and try and repeal laws like that, that is doing harm to society. It certainly is.
I think the harm comes from, on a societal level, when we start breaking down these basic central institutions, like the institution of the family and of marriage. That's where the harm comes from. And the more that people believe, the more that we build a society where it's believed that marriage is
He's just repeating himself. I think it erodes the basic institutions of marriage. Joe gives 1,000 reasons why it doesn't, and I gave a bunch of reasons why it doesn't. People are still going to have babies, and the basic institution is built around interparental love or interspousal love, and he just repeats himself. Good points, but I just think it's eroding the basic institution of marriage. How? I just think it does. Fuck you.
Objectively meaningless, right? It's entirely subjective. It's just about making you feel better.
Correct. And as someone who is a moral objectivist and a massive hater of moral relativism, there's nothing wrong with things being subjective. Like when it's a personal choice. There's nothing true about I like this thing. That's fine for you to like it. It doesn't matter. It only matters when choices affect other people.
The more that we build a society like that, I think...
And let me clarify, it doesn't affect other people if you allow people to make the decision. It doesn't affect you that gay people get included. Because guess what? You're included too. You just think it's gross. That's it. That's what this is. Let's have him finish.
That's where the harm comes in, the worse it is. And people are going to reject marriage, and that means more, fewer kids are being born. Also, more kids are being born in a context where they don't have that stable family structure. So the harm definitely comes. It may not be this immediate, connect the dots thing, but and we can already see that.
No. There aren't going to be people who just suddenly stop on a civilizational level having children. It's not going to happen. If it does, then, let's see. We have something in the chat. We have something in the chat, in the Discord chat. But nothing in the voice chat, so we'll check that out later. Yep. Let's see here. Yeah. So the problem here is Matt just thinks gay people are gross. And he thinks gay sex is gross, and he doesn't like it. So he's trying to rationalize away, like, not letting it happen in society. He literally said less people will get married. If marriage doesn't mean a procreative union between two straight people, then straight people will stop having procreative unions. That's not how it works. Gay people want to get married because they like having unions. Guess what? Straight people also like having unions. So as long as there's gay people getting married, straight people will also have that intuition. And everyone really likes having sex, so I don't see children being a problem with that either. Procreation. It's a big thing. You know, almost every single woman has a biological drive to have children. Men too. Don't get me wrong, but people start getting baby fever. It is a biological imperative. That's how we stuck around so long. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Walsh was a creationist, but I don't think even he's that dumb. That'd be interesting to find out. Anyway, I guess I gotta go start preparing for Thanksgiving. So, that was just a little treat. I had some free time. Hopefully some of y'all got something out of that. I've been meaning to shit on Matt Walsh for quite a while because I hate him, and I made a very long video that was mostly positive toward him and his argument. So I wanted to balance that out. Because even his argument of what is a woman, he's not motivated by truth or honesty or logic. Broken clock is just right twice a day. He hates transgender people. He thinks they're icky. So that's why he's against them. That's why he's against the self-ID people. I'm against the self-ID people because it's illogical and makes no sense and is the direct antithesis of all communication and language. And because you can destroy Matt Walsh's argument on his own terms. His own definition of woman is untenable, just like his definition of marriage is untenable. Because, you know, woman does not have to procreate. It doesn't have to be in her nature to procreate. Never has been, never was. Just like marriage, you don't have to procreate to be married. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why his definition is completely untenable. And he just thinks trannies are gross, and he thinks gays are gross. And that's as far as his actual true stance goes. Everything else is just a rationalization, and a poor one at that. He's a bigot. He's a piece of shit. He's hateful, not particularly intelligent. And yeah, someone needs to shove it in his face. Anyway, I think I'm gonna head out now. And thank you to whoever was watching. We have James Wolf in the chat. And we have, I'm going to go check out what he posted in the Debate Cafe Discord. And y'all have a good day. And, you know, keep on trooping out there. We got to fight these rebels. We got to protect the galaxy.